Something profound has already changed inside you, even if the outside world has not fully caught up yet. Your inner frequency shifted quietly, subtly, without noise or announcement. It did not ask permission from your past, nor did it wait for validation from anyone around you. This change happened because your soul reached a threshold it could no longer ignore. What once felt tolerable became heavy. What once felt familiar began to feel false. And what once defined your sense of safety started to feel like a cage. This is not confusion. This is alignment asserting itself. You may notice that situations which used to demand effort are now dissolving without resistance. Certain conversations no longer pull you in. Old emotional triggers lose their grip. People who once held space in your mind now feel distant, not out of anger, but out of resonance. This is one of the clearest signs that your internal signal has recalibrated. When your frequency changes, reality does not fight to stay the same. It rearranges, it sheds, it releases, and sometimes it collapses structures that were only being held together by your old energy. There can be an unexpected mix of relief and grief during this phase. Relief because you no longer have to force yourself to fit into patterns that drained you. Grief because parts of your identity were built inside those patterns. You may ask yourself who you are without the struggle, without the waiting, without the constant emotional negotiation. That question is not a loss of self. It is the doorway to a truer version of you that no longer survives by endurance alone. Pay attention to what is falling away on its own. The things leaving now are not being taken from you. They are responding to your shift. You are no longer energetically available for dynamics rooted in scarcity, self-betrayal, or emotional compromise. What cannot rise with you cannot stay. This is not punishment. This is coherence. Life always reorganizes itself around the strongest signal, and right now, your signal is clearer than it has ever been. You might feel moments of stillness that seem unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. When chaos exits, silence enters first. Silence can feel empty if you are used to constant motion or emotional noise, but this silence is fertile. It is the pause where new structures begin to form. Do not rush to fill it with distractions, explanations, or replacements. Let it exist. Something intelligent is recalibrating beneath the surface. There is also a growing sense that you cannot pretend anymore. Masks feel heavier. Small talk feels draining. Obligations without meaning feel unbearable. This is because your inner frequency now prioritizes truth over comfort. You are not becoming rigid. You are becoming precise. Your energy no longer leaks into places where it is not honored. That precision will shape what comes next. You may notice synchronicities increasing, but they might look different than before. Instead of dramatic signs, you experience quiet confirmations, a sudden clarity about a decision, a door closing without conflict, an answer arriving without effort. These are indicators that you are moving with the current instead of against it. When alignment deepens, life becomes less about chasing and more about responding. It is important to understand that the old reality is not falling apart because you failed to maintain it. It is dissolving because it was built on an earlier version of you. You outgrew it. Growth does not negotiate with structures that no longer fit. It simply moves forward, and whatever cannot adapt releases its hold. This is why forcing old plans now feels exhausting. Your energy is no longer designed to sustain them. There may be moments where you wonder if you are losing motivation. You are not. What is fading is the motivation to prove, to perform, to earn belonging. In its place, a quieter drive is forming, one that is rooted in integrity, self-respect, and internal authority. This drive does not shout. It does not rush. It waits until something is true before moving. Trust the intelligence of what is happening. Even the uncertainty has purpose. When the old framework collapses, it creates space for something that matches who you are now, not who you were required to be. You do not need to chase the new reality. It is already responding to you. Your only role is to stay honest with yourself as the layers continue to fall away. The most important thing to remember is that this shift is irreversible. Once your frequency recalibrates, you cannot return to pretending that misalignment feels normal. You may visit old places emotionally, but you will not live there again. Your nervous system knows too much now. Your awareness has expanded beyond the old limits. Allow the unraveling. Let the outdated roles, expectations, and attachments loosen without resistance. What is stable will remain. What is false will exit. And what is coming will not require you to abandon yourself to receive it. This is the quiet power of an inner frequency shift. The old reality does not need to be destroyed. It simply falls away because you are no longer there to hold it together. As this message reaches you, you're not alone in this shift. People all over the world are feeling it too. Take a moment and share in the comments which city you're watching from, anchoring your presence into this moment. What's unfolding now is less dramatic on the surface and far more powerful underneath. After an inner frequency changes, the mind often expects instant external rewards, clear results, or visible breakthroughs. But that is not how real recalibration works. The deepest transformations rarely announce themselves with fireworks. They reorganize your inner landscape first, then allow the outer world to catch up in its own timing. This phase can feel slow, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is being rebuilt with precision. You may notice a heightened sensitivity to misalignment. Things that once felt neutral now feel off. Environments you tolerated begin to drain you faster. Certain ambitions lose their shine. This is not a loss of passion. It is a refinement of it. Your system is no longer interested in outcomes that cost you your peace. The internal signal now prioritizes coherence over speed, truth over validation, stability over intensity. One of the most challenging parts of this stage is the absence of clear direction. The old roadmap no longer applies, yet the new one has not fully revealed itself. This can create a subtle anxiety, a feeling of standing between identities. You are no longer who you were, but not yet fully embodied as who you are becoming. This in-between state is not a mistake. It is a necessary pause where unconscious habits dissolve and new patterns are encoded. Your nervous system plays a central role here. When you lived inside your old frequency, your body learned to survive through tension, anticipation, or over-adaptation. Now, as that frequency releases, your system is learning safety without struggle. That learning curve can feel unfamiliar. Calm may feel empty at first. Simplicity may feel strange. This does not mean something is missing. It means your baseline is resetting. You might also observe that you are less reactive. Situations that once triggered immediate responses now create space instead. That space is not indecision. It is self-regulation. You are no longer compelled to explain yourself, defend your choices, or rush to clarity. Silence becomes a form of self-trust. Waiting becomes an active state rather than a passive one. Relationships undergo quiet evaluation during this time, not through judgment, but through resonance. You may feel closer to people without increased interaction, or more distant despite proximity. Emotional bonds now depend less on history and more on present alignment. This can feel lonely if your circle was built around who you used to be, but it is also liberating. You are learning that connection does not require self-abandonment to survive. There can be moments of doubt where you question whether you are doing enough. This is an echo from the old reality, where worth was measured by effort and output. The new frequency operates differently. It values accuracy over volume. One aligned step carries more momentum than years of forced movement. When you act from this place, life responds with less resistance and fewer detours. Notice how certain desires are fading without disappointment. This is important. When something truly meant for you leaves, it leaves loudly, with emotion, attachment, and grief. What is dissolving now is leaving quietly because it has already completed its role. Your system is efficient. It releases what no longer serves without drama once the lesson is integrated. At times you may feel invisible, less seen, less mirrored, less externally affirmed. This is not a regression. It is a recalibration of where validation comes from. The inner authority is strengthening. You are learning to recognize your own truth without needing it reflected back immediately. This internal confirmation is what stabilizes the next level of your life. There is also an invitation here to slow your language, to speak less but with more accuracy, to commit less but more fully, to choose fewer things but choose them with your whole body. Your frequency now responds to quality over quantity. Anything half aligned will feel heavier than doing nothing at all. The old reality depended on your participation to stay intact. Your worry, your effort, your emotional labor were the glue. Now that your frequency has shifted, that glue is gone. Structures unravel naturally when they are no longer fed. This is why forcing closure, explanations, or conclusions feels unnecessary. What is real will stabilize on its own. What is not will continue to fall away without your involvement. Trust is being rebuilt here, not in life but in yourself. Trust that you can sit in uncertainty without collapsing. Trust that clarity does not need to be hunted. Trust that what is meant to meet you will recognize your new signal without persuasion. This trust is quiet, embodied, and durable. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not losing time. You are integrating. And integration is what makes the next reality sustainable. The old world required constant maintenance. The new one will require presence. Let that be enough for now. The third phase of a frequency shift often feels like standing on solid ground while everything familiar rearranges itself around you. You are steady, yet the landscape is changing. This contrast can be disorienting. Part of you recognizes the stability growing inside, while another part notices how little the external world resembles what once felt secure. This is not instability. This is internal anchoring, finally taking precedence over external structure. You may begin to realize that you are no longer emotionally available for certain patterns, even if they try to re-enter your life. Old dynamics might circle back, testing whether you will respond the same way. The difference now is subtle but decisive. You don't need to reject them forcefully. Your lack of engagement is enough. When something no longer matches your frequency, it loses access to you without conflict. This is where self-respect deepens. Not as a concept, but as a lived boundary. You stop negotiating with discomfort. You stop explaining why something does not feel right. You trust the signal in your body before the story in your mind. This trust did not appear overnight. It was built through experiences where ignoring yourself led to exhaustion and honoring yourself led to relief. There can be moments when you miss the intensity of the old reality, not because it was healthy, but because it was familiar. Intensity can masquerade as meaning when calm is unfamiliar. You might catch yourself wondering if something is wrong because life feels quieter, less charged. But peace does not spike adrenaline. It settles the system. It creates space for clarity rather than urgency. Your intuition is sharper now, but it speaks differently. It no longer shouts through anxiety or pressure. It arrives as a simple knowing, a calm yes, a grounded no, a sense of timing that cannot be rushed. This intuitive clarity grows stronger the more you honor it. Each time you act in alignment, the signal becomes clearer. Each time you ignore it, discomfort returns quickly, not as punishment, but as feedback. You may also notice changes in how you perceive success. What once felt impressive may now feel hollow. What once felt small may now feel rich. Your values are reorganizing themselves. Fulfillment is no longer measured by accumulation, attention, or approval. It is measured by how regulated your body feels, how honest your choices are, and how little you have to betray yourself to maintain your life. This shift affects your sense of time. You may feel less rushed, even when things are uncertain. The pressure to figure it all out begins to dissolve. You understand on a deeper level that clarity unfolds through lived experience, not mental force. Trying to decide everything at once feels unnecessary. You trust that each step will reveal the next. There may be people who no longer recognize you in the same way. Not because you changed your personality, but because you stopped overextending yourself to maintain familiarity. This can create distance. Some connections will fade quietly. Others may resist the change. Neither outcome requires you to justify yourself. Growth does not require consensus. What is emerging now is a quieter confidence, not the kind that needs to be proven, but the kind that is felt. You trust yourself to respond when something arises. You trust yourself to rest when nothing is clear. You trust that not every opportunity requires an answer. This discernment protects your energy and preserves your direction. You may feel drawn to simplify your life in practical ways. Fewer commitments, clearer routines, more space. This is not withdrawal. It is optimization. Your system functions best with less noise. Simplicity allows your frequency to stabilize. From that stability, creativity and insight emerge naturally. The old reality thrived on effort and persistence. The new one responds to alignment and presence. You no longer need to push doors open. You notice which ones open when you approach calmly. This is how you know you are moving correctly. Resistance decreases. Recovery becomes faster. Decision-making becomes cleaner. There is nothing you need to fix about yourself right now. The work is not about improvement, but about integration. You are allowing the shift to settle into your daily life. This settling is what makes it real. Without it, transformation remains theoretical. With it, change becomes embodied. Stay attentive to your energy. Notice what expands you and what contracts you. Use that information without judgment. Your inner frequency is now your primary guide. The more consistently you listen, the less effort life requires. What belongs will remain. What does not will continue to fall away. And you will remain steady, not because everything is certain, but because you are. At this stage, you may begin to notice a deeper separation between what feels authentic and what feels performative. Even subtle performances stand out now. You can sense when you are about to say yes out of habit, when you are about to agree just to keep things smooth. And in that moment, something inside you pauses. That pause is your new center of gravity. You are no longer propelled by momentum from the past. You are choosing from the present. This is also where emotional honesty becomes unavoidable. Not dramatic honesty, not confessional honesty, but quiet truthfulness with yourself. You can no longer convince yourself that something is fine when it is not. The body responds faster now. Tension appears sooner. Fatigue arrives more quickly. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your system no longer tolerates internal contradiction. Alignment is no longer optional. You may find yourself restructuring your days without consciously planning to. Sleeping differently, eating differently, wanting different forms of stimulation. This is not random. Your nervous system is reorganizing around a new baseline. What once felt energizing may now feel overstimulating. What once felt boring may now feel nourishing. This shift is intelligent. It is guided by regulation, not indulgence. There can be an urge to explain this change to others, especially to those who knew you in a different phase, but words often fall short here. This is not a change that can be easily articulated. It is felt, and when something is felt rather than conceptualized, it does not require agreement to be valid. You are allowed to evolve without narrating every step. You might also notice that you are less interested in fixing people or situations. Compassion remains, but it is no longer entangled with responsibility. You understand at a deeper level that each person must meet their own moment of readiness. This understanding frees enormous amounts of energy. Energy that once went outward now returns inward, strengthening your sense of self-containment. Patience takes on a new quality now. It is no longer endurance, it is trust. You are not waiting because you have no choice. You are waiting because you sense that timing matters. Acting too soon would require force. Acting too late would feel stagnant. You are learning to feel the moment when movement is natural. This timing cannot be rushed, and it cannot be reasoned into existence. There may be a subtle grief for the version of you who survived so much without this level of awareness. You might look back and feel tenderness, even sadness, for how much you carried. Let that feeling exist without turning it into regret. That version of you was necessary. She brought you here. Honor her without returning to her patterns. Your sense of identity is also loosening. Labels feel less relevant. You are less interested in defining yourself and more interested in experiencing yourself. This fluidity can feel unsettling if you were once anchored by roles or expectations, but it is also freeing. You are discovering that you do not need a fixed identity to be whole. Presence is enough. As the old reality continues to fall away, you may notice that problems resolve themselves without your intervention. Misunderstandings dissolve. Conflicts lose momentum. Situations that once felt complicated become simple through non-engagement. This is not avoidance, it is energetic clarity. When your frequency is stable, chaos has nothing to attach to. You are also becoming more selective with where you place your attention, not out of fear but out of respect for your inner state. You understand now that attention is not neutral. It feeds what it touches. You choose more carefully what you feed. This choice shapes your reality more than effort ever did. There is a growing sense of self-trust that does not depend on outcomes. Even when things are unresolved, you feel okay inside yourself. This is one of the most significant indicators of an inner shift. External uncertainty no longer translates into internal instability. You can hold questions without panic. You can move through change without losing yourself. Nothing about this phase is flashy, but it is foundational. What is stabilizing now will support everything that comes next. You are building a life that does not require constant self-correction. A life that responds to who you are, rather than demanding that you adjust to fit it. Let this phase be what it is: quiet, precise, honest. The old reality continues to fall away, not because you are rejecting it, but because you are no longer structured to live there. And the more you honor this new internal architecture, the more natural your next steps will become. There is a noticeable shift in how you relate to uncertainty now. Where it once triggered urgency or self-doubt, it now feels more like open space. Not empty, but undefined in a way that no longer threatens you. You are learning that not knowing does not mean being unprepared. It means being available. Available for information you could not have predicted, for paths you could not have planned, for versions of yourself that only appear when control loosens. You may sense that your emotional range has changed. Highs feel cleaner, less frantic. Lows feel softer, less consuming. You are not swinging as widely between extremes because your center has stabilized. This does not make life dull, it makes it sustainable. You are no longer dependent on emotional spikes to feel alive. Presence itself carries depth now. One of the clearest indicators of this stage is how quickly misalignment reveals itself. What once took months to register now takes minutes. A subtle discomfort, a tightening in the chest, a loss of energy after a conversation. These signals are immediate and precise. They are not asking you to analyze them. They are asking you to listen. Your body has become an honest communicator now that it no longer needs to shout to be heard. You might notice that you are less interested in revisiting the past, even to heal it, not because it is resolved in every detail, but because it no longer defines your orientation. The past feels complete, informative but not directive. You carry the wisdom without reliving the weight. This allows your attention to remain rooted in the present without effort. There is also a growing comfort with solitude, not isolation, but true aloneness. Time with yourself no longer feels like something to fill or distract from. It feels restorative. You are becoming your own stable reference point. This changes how you show up in relationships. You connect because you want to, not because you need to regulate yourself through others. As your frequency stabilizes, your desires become clearer and fewer. You are less interested in chasing multiple directions at once. Focus narrows naturally. This does not limit your life, it strengthens it. When energy is no longer scattered, it becomes potent. You begin to sense which directions hold real momentum and which are just echoes of old conditioning. You may also experience moments where opportunities appear and disappear quickly. Not as loss, but as sorting. Things that are not quite right pass through without lingering. You do not need to force closure or extract meaning. The quick release is the meaning. Your system knows how to filter now. There is a noticeable reduction in internal dialogue. Less commentary, less justification. Decisions arise quietly and settle without debate. This mental spaciousness is not emptiness. It is efficiency. Energy once spent on overthinking is now available for perception, creativity, and rest. You may find yourself caring less about being understood by everyone. Being accurate with yourself matters more. This does not make you indifferent. It makes you grounded. You understand that resonance cannot be forced and explanation does not create alignment. You allow others to meet you where they can, without shrinking or performing. At this point, the old reality feels distant, almost like a previous lifetime. Not because it was insignificant, but because you are no longer structured to inhabit it. You can remember it without being pulled back into it. This distance is not detachment, it is integration. You have taken what you needed and left the rest behind. What is forming now is not yet visible in full shape, but it is already functional. Your reactions are different. Your choices are cleaner. your recovery is faster. These are not small changes. They are structural. They determine the quality of what you will build next. You do not need to announce this shift or defend it. It will be evident through consistency, through what you no longer tolerate, through what you no longer chase, through the steadiness you carry into situations that once destabilized you. The old reality continues to dissolve because there is no longer an energetic match. And the new reality does not need to rush toward you. It is assembling itself around who you have become. All that is required now is continued honesty, continued presence, and the willingness to let what no longer fits complete its exit without interference. There is a subtle maturity settling into how you move through the world now. You are no longer seeking confirmation that you are on the right path. You can feel it in your body when something aligns, and you can feel it just as clearly when it does not. This internal feedback loop has become more reliable than external advice. You listen differently. You pause before reacting. You let things reveal themselves instead of trying to extract answers. You may notice that your tolerance for emotional chaos has dropped significantly. Situations that thrive on drama, urgency, or instability no longer feel stimulating. They feel loud. This is not because you have become detached, but because your nervous system has found a calmer baseline. You recognize now that peace is not boring. It is efficient. It allows you to think clearly, to feel deeply without being overwhelmed, and to act with intention rather than impulse. There is also a growing clarity around what is worth your energy. You are no longer impressed by potential alone. You pay attention to consistency, to follow through, to how things feel over time. This applies to people, opportunities, and even your own ideas. You are less likely to chase what excites you briefly, and more likely to invest in what supports you steadily. You might experience moments where the world around you seems to speed up while you remain steady. Others may appear rushed, reactive, or scattered. You can see the patterns without being pulled into them. This perspective is not superiority. It is regulation. You are simply operating from a different internal rhythm now. There is an increasing respect for your own limits. You stop before exhaustion. You say no before resentment builds. You rest without needing to justify it. These choices may feel small, but they accumulate. Over time, they create a life that does not require recovery from itself. You may also notice that your creativity expresses itself differently. Instead of bursts followed by burnout, ideas come in waves that feel manageable. You trust that inspiration will return, so you no longer force it. This trust allows creativity to become a relationship rather than a resource you fear losing. Old fears may still surface occasionally, but they no longer control your decisions. When doubt appears, you observe it rather than obey it. You understand that fear often arises at the edge of expansion, not as a warning to stop, but as a signal that you are moving beyond familiar territory. This awareness changes how fear functions in your life. It becomes information, not authority. There is also a noticeable shift in how you experience effort. You still work, still engage, still care. But the struggle component is missing. You are not pushing against yourself anymore. Actions feel cleaner. Movement feels more direct. When something requires too much force, you recognize it as a signal to pause or reassess rather than push harder. You may find that certain desires you once had no longer make sense, not because they were wrong, but because they belong to a version of you who needed different things. Letting go of those desires does not feel like loss. It feels like relief. You are not obligated to want what you once wanted just to stay consistent with your past. There is an emerging sense of sufficiency inside you, not complacency, but grounded contentment. You know there is more ahead, but you are not chasing it from a place of lack. You are open without being restless. This state is powerful because it allows growth without desperation. The old reality relied on you being slightly disconnected from yourself to function. It needed your doubt, your overthinking, your willingness to tolerate misalignment. Now that those patterns have loosened, that reality has nothing to anchor to. It continues to dissolve quietly, without confrontation, without drama. You do not need to rush the arrival of what comes next. The foundation is still settling. What you are building now is internal coherence, and that coherence will shape every external outcome that follows. When the next chapter becomes visible, it will feel natural, not forced. It will fit the version of you that exists now, not the one you have already outgrown. For the moment, your role is simple. Stay present, stay honest, stay responsive to what your body and intuition are telling you. This steadiness is not passive, it is active alignment. And from this place, whatever emerges next will not ask you to abandon yourself to receive it. What completes this phase is a quiet recognition that you are no longer orienting your life around avoidance. You are not choosing paths to prevent pain, rejection, or instability. You are choosing based on resonance. This distinction changes everything. When avoidance no longer leads, your decisions stop being reactive. They become intentional, even when the outcome is uncertain. You may notice that you are more comfortable letting things unfold without interference. You resist the urge to manage perceptions, to smooth every edge, to anticipate every possible reaction. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you trust reality to meet you without constant correction. Control loosens because it is no longer needed to feel safe. There is also a deeper honesty in how you relate to effort. You no longer confuse difficulty with value. Just because something is hard does not mean it is meaningful. Just because something is easy does not mean it lacks depth. You are learning to assess experiences by how they integrate into your life, not by how much they demand from you. Your emotional responses continue to simplify. Instead of layered reactions built from past experiences, you respond more directly to what is actually happening. This creates a sense of clarity that feels almost physical. You are present with what is real, not what is remembered or anticipated. This presence reduces unnecessary suffering. You might find that you are less tempted to explain your inner world. Silence feels sufficient. You understand that not everything needs translation. Some shifts are meant to be lived, not shared. This discretion protects your energy and allows your experience to deepen without external distortion. There is a noticeable strengthening of discernment. You can tell when something is aligned not by excitement, but by steadiness. The right things no longer create internal conflict. They feel calm, even if they are challenging. Wrong directions feel noisy, rushed, or draining, even if they look promising on the surface. You are also becoming more patient with outcomes while remaining precise with choices. You do not rush results, but you do not compromise alignment. This balance creates momentum without strain. Things move when they are ready, and you are ready when they move. The sense of self that emerges now is less about narrative and more about presence. You are not constantly telling yourself who you are. You are experiencing yourself through action, response, and rest. Identity becomes lived rather than declared. You may observe that the need for external reassurance continues to fade. You are less affected by praise and less disrupted by criticism. Feedback becomes information, not definition. This emotional neutrality allows you to remain open without being destabilized. As the old reality completes its exit, there is no dramatic ending, no final confrontation, no moment of closure that needs to be marked. It simply loses relevance. You wake up one day and realize you have not thought about it in a while. That absence is the closure. What replaces it is not a fully formed future, but a grounded present, one that feels inhabitable, one that does not require constant adjustment. From this place, new possibilities will arise organically, shaped by who you are now rather than who you once had to be. You are no longer becoming someone else. You are becoming more exact, more truthful, more stable. This is the result of an inner frequency shift that has fully integrated. The old reality falls away because it no longer recognizes you, and the life that is forming does not need to be chased. It is already responding to the signal you are consistently emitting.